Welcome to AwesomeDOT, your dedicated guide to the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem.
So, hey everyone, welcome to the fifth episode of AwesomeDOT podcast. We have with us Thang here, and he is essentially building something called Dedot. To give a brief introduction, Thang is the author and lead developer of Dedot, and he was also part of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. He's worked on a couple of other Polkadot projects, won a hackathon, and we are going to dive into all of those things and your future plans with DDOT and as we go forward. That sound right? Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome. So okay, let's start with a bit of background. How did you get into Polkadot? Like, where were you before this? Let's start off with that.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me to the call to the podcast. This is great to be here to share about my journey and about DDoS as well. So about my background, I was more I was like having like some kind of interested in like cryptocurrency and crypto in a while, but I actually like been serious in research about like crypto and Bitcoin in 2021. And at that time, I also like research other projects around crypto, and Polkadot was the one that I found like the most interested one. And I was like, because uh, like since then I have been like researching around and learn a bit more how to build, because I'm a developer. I want to build like the apps and then build blockchain, and I find that like Polkadot so offer a lot of tools and things that allow me to build more like sophisticated and blockchain. As you may know, like
Yeah.
Polkadot has Substrate and could like launch a blockchain in just like a few minutes, and it's really awesome. And yeah, and since then I was like managed to have some support from Web2 Foundation to build a couple of projects, and
Okay.
then yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay. So what I hear is that was Polkadot the first blockchain that you decided to come onto, or was something you decided to dive into
yeah,
something else?
yeah. Actually, the
Okay.
first like thing that I like committed seriously into like blockchain things, I was like
Oh,
researching around and like about Bitcoin. I was like first read the Bitcoin white paper and was like really like
mm,
trusted and then believed in the reason the vision and the core values of the blockchain technology, and I saw the value in it, and I
mm.
started searching around. I was like looking around for like Ethereum, Canado, like Cosmos and things. But I found that Polkadot was like finding me like the most interested projects. And
True,
yeah.
true. Technically, it's very, it calls for you. Essentially, it's very well written in that sense.
Hmm.
Agree, completely agree. So, and then JavaScript, then like because this is written in JavaScript, I assume that you
Hmm.
sort of had some JavaScript experience. So, did you start off with writing JavaScript and then come on to Polkadot, or you decided to get into Polkadot and then go on to JavaScript?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer, and
Yeah.
I have a background in building like application
Mm,
like for like around like 7 or 8 years. And
got it.
I've been building like B2B applications and then mobile applications, and mostly using like JavaScript. And then I've been building application using TypeScript, JavaScript, and Java and things, and Ruby and things, and lots of like language. But like mainly on the front end side, I've been using a lot of JavaScript and TypeScript,
Makes sense.
and that's and then when it comes to like blockchain and Polkadot things, and the front end side, that is the side that I'm most interested in. I want to build like the apps, but I
Yeah.
also interested in the back end side, the blockchain side, and that's why I was joining the blockchain academy,
Yeah.
to learn more about like the the bike
Yeah.
end side, the blockchain side. Yeah.
We'll get to that. I mean, I think that's
Hmm.
what I wanted to sort of get into.
Yeah.
How was your blockchain sort of academy experience? How was your Polkadot blockchain academy experience? It was in Singapore, Singapore, I believe, like you were the fifth cohort,
Yeah.
right? So how was that? Did you get to learn? Like, did it start off with essentially overall blockchain and moved on to Polkadot? And how was your experience overall?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like a really like great experience to me, and I learned a lot from there. It was like just like 4 or 5 weeks
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
time, but it's like it's the knowledge there is a lot, and I was learning. It's not just about Polkadot. It was like about like blockchain in general. We was learning about like cryptocurrency, about like uh, economy, the game through theory behind, and then how to incentive people to like actively participate in blockchain, uh, and then learning about the governance and smart contract, and then blockchain itself. It's not like it's not like only Polkadot. It's like the general thing, and the last model was like the Polkadot things, and things just getting start to like make it like it's clearer to me, and I was
Hmm.
like learning a lot there. It was like truly yeah,
So
a
the
great
so
experience.
and I believe that you must have sort of gotten to Rust as well to sort
Hmm.
of because what I see in Dedot as well is this really good tight inference that you get from the substrate itself. So getting that, I was trying to work on something similar, and I saw Dedot doing that. So we'll get to that, and we'll get to dive into
Sure.
Dedot overall. But let's talk a bit more about your experience at the academy itself. So was this an in-person event, and how was Singapore for three like 5 weeks, right? 5 6 weeks.
Yeah, I
Was
was
it
in the in-person cohort.
okay?
I was there in
Okay.
Singapore. Yeah.
And any other Vietnam people from Vietnam that were there?
Yeah, there are like two other like guys in from Vietnam as well, and we are friend from actually.
Oh,
We
nice.
have like making friends and yeah, and we also like making a lot of like other like connections and friends from other like countries as well, and it was like really great. And it's truly like if you want to like the main thing about like we could like you could also just join remotely, but it's like if you want to have like a great networking experience in like a deep level, you must come to it in person because you get to like know and like networking with and make friends with a lot of people, and that is like truly the differences between like
Makes sense.
remotely and working and in person. It's like completely different.
Agreed. Agreed. So, so you said two other developers. Moving on from that, like, how is the block Polkadot sort of ecosystem in Vietnam? Like, are people starting to recognize? Is it more like a currency that people tend to dive into, or are they interested in the technology? I'd love to sort of dive into that a bit too.
Yeah, and I think in Vietnam, uh, like it's Vietnam is like I think it's like Polkadot is like it's not really like having a lot of presence here. There are
Hmm.
like projects that are
Hmm.
working on Polkadot in Vietnam, but like it's not like really prominent. It's like we have I've, as I'm observing around in the market and in the how people like talking. It's mainly on the Solana side or Ethereum or Bitcoin. Like Polkadot, it's like it's not really like that's like prominent. We have like sub wallets if you know like the team in Vietnam in Hanoi
Hmm.
Vietnam, and then they are like really close to where I am,
Oh,
their
nice.
headquarters, and we've been friends for a long time, and then
Okay.
we have also have Open Guild, and
Okay.
if you know Open Guild is like from another like in the south of Vietnam, also
Okay.
like targeting into the marketing side and developer
Yeah, open
experience
guild.
side. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Open Guild, and we
Okay.
also have other like projects, but yeah, like two other as far as I remember, like that like two prominent projects from Vietnam that stand out the most. But yeah,
Got it. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So there is still a lot of potential in the Vietnam market to sort of build something around Polkadot and sort of bring it more to the notice of developers there, right?
yeah,
I think I think somebody's on the marketing side should also start diving into the Vietnam ecosystem. And
Exactly.
talking about this only, right? So a lot of countries actually see very passionate developers on Solana and Ethereum, right? So as a developer yourself, like, have you noticed why that's the case, or do you have any theories on why that's happening? Or can we do something on the Polkadot? I mean, Dedot is one sort of way of sort of making it better, but like, did you think of something else, or what other ways do you think we can go into to make it a bit better for people to become more passionate about developing for Polkadot as compared
Yeah.
to?
I know this is something that we have been discussing for a while. Well, that is like the developer experience because like we need to like to make it easier to onboard new developer into the ecosystem so that they could stay. If it is like if we like the nature of Polkadot is like really complicated. We have like parachain, we have the relay chain, and a lot of things in the background, and it's like confusing people a lot when they like started to like learning Polkadot and things around the ecosystem. My I was like the same when I was first learning about Polkadot. But yeah, but if we make it really hard, so people just learn and they see it really complicated, and other project is easier to like to engage and to build on. They could just go to like the other projects. Why
Yeah,
like just stay in like why choose Polkadot because it's really hard. So that is like the problem because like I was like listening to other like team from like building on other projects in the other ecosystem like Solana or Ethereum, the experience there is really great. It's the developer experience is great, and they could just like starting with it, and it's like really easy for them to onboard the new developer. So with Polkadot, it was like really painful a few years ago with Polkadot JS. I was like, as a developer, I wanted to build a DI. I want to build like a custom blockchain for me, and it was like really struggle. I was like really struggle to build a DI for myself using like Polkadot JS because like it's like it has a lot of limitations in like in supporting for some kind of custom blockchain and custom substrate-based network. Yeah, and I think that is the thing that we need to focus on first in order to like to attract to make it Polkadot more attractive for developer.
yeah. I feel there is a lot of chatter around in the ecosystem also that we need better UX, a better developer experience, and there are bounties that are essentially now getting funded especially for this. So if you if you I feel as we move forward, people are recognizing that this is a problem. This is an important problem, but we don't have any concrete solutions to it in that sense, right? Because we have recognized that it's a problem for a good enough time, right? It's been 2, 3, 4 years since we have seen that Polkadot JS is something that needs to be refined and made better and all of that. And in that time, there are other companies that have tried to fix that gap. And I feel documentation and easy onboarding examples like other blockchains have. I feel that's a very lacking behavior, like lacking in the entire ecosystem in Polkadot, right? So there are multiple parachains that are doing their own thing, and then
Yes.
you have the main Polkadot JS application that does one thing and has only certain examples to do extra. I think nothing real world that they can build, right? So I wanted to talk about this, right? The sparseness of documentation and your thoughts
Yes.
around how do we improve it, and your plans with DDOT to do this. How do you go forward? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like documentation and make it clear for people to like to get things started with Polkadot is like I think it's really crucial because like if we don't have any like clear path, a clear instruction for people to getting started, it's like it really get struggle. People will get struggle to just getting started. Because for example, if we want to like pause a like a token uh, like a balance from the network, how do we do it? And then how do we like connect to like different kind of blockchain, and how do we call to a custom palettes, interact with custom palettes from the substrate-based network. How do we do it? It's like it just doesn't have any like concrete example or like documentation side of thing. So for example, you want to like format a balance in from like refresh from the substrate-based network, you have to search Google, and it doesn't have any documentation on the Polkadot.js doc site. It doesn't have, and we need to make it focus and to make it like a lot of example and a lot of things that use like dev can just go there and then search how do I do this, how do I do that, and then make a central place for people to go there and ask questions, and it just show up how to do this, how to do that, how to interact, and just find it, and it's like and start working with it, and it's like and we need to make it really easy for people to getting started. That's like really crucial.
Great. So now, with that, let's segue into Dedot properly and just sort of introduce what it is so that people and listeners understand where we are going with this. So Dedot, from its official definition, is a JavaScript client for substrate-based chains, right? It's not a drop-in, but a similar replacement to Polkadot.js API. And as far as I see, this is now almost ready to use in a pre-production or a production environment, right? Or do you still think? Yeah. Okay. So now let's start off with why the need to build this. Why do we need another library that solves this, and the motivation towards deciding to put so much effort into building something again, right?
Yeah. So to just to clarify a bit, so Dedot is currently in an alpha testing phase. So before like rolling out to production and stabilizing, because we expect a few more breaking changes in order for people to, and then also expect a few community feedback and users before, like if we have any like feedback, and then we can improve on it so people could use it on production. So yeah, that is on the progress side. And about the reason, let's just go back to the history of Polkadot.js. So if you are a developer, if building on Polkadot, you will see yourself struggle, and I find myself also struggle building the app on Polkadot.js because it has a lot of limitation. First off, it doesn't have support for like type and API suggestions to any custom substrate base. It only comes with like default type and API suggestion for Polkadot and Substrate and nothing else. So if you want to connect and interact with like Moonbeam or Asta, there's no suggestions. So if you have to like find a way around it, and it's really like hard to interact with. And also it's type system. It's like in order to like get the data, you have to unwrap the codec and then get inside the data. So for example, if you get back the data, you have to call like big to a JSON or to like primitive in order to get the data. It's really painful, and doesn't have any like suggestions in TypeScript or JavaScript types. It's really painful.
Yeah.
So secondly, it has a very like high memory consumption. If I know not a lot of people are aware of this, because like in the early day of Polkadot, we have like we have sub wallets. I've been using sub wallet for a while, and in its early day. So it used to like be connecting a lot of, because subwallet is a multi-chain subwallet, and it has to connect with a lot of network in order to fetch the balances and to render it in your UI. So in the early day, it's going to connect to a lot of network. It's supported. It's like 17 network or 100 network. And I was curious, and I was like clicking on the tab manager and see the memory consumption. It's spike up. It's like it consumed like 600 or 700 like megabytes, and it just stay there for like as long as you open the browser. Okay. So for example, if you like connect to like 100 network, it could like spike up to like over a gigabyte. So that is painful, because like if you don't have enough RAM, and it's like just slow down your laptop. And as for me as a user, I don't want something that like just it's running around and just consume my memory. It's really like not a good UX. So I had a discussion with the support team, and they roll out some features to like turning on and turning off the network, so that it's like efficiently connect to the network, so that user only have access on. And it's like it somehow mitigate the issues. But as like we're going forward with the multi-chain future, we're gonna
Hmm.
have like certainly like 100 like access on over 100 network,
Correct.
and that's we're gonna get into that issue again where like our laptop would need to like have a lots of RAM in order to run the wallet.
Correct.
So that is actually the reason we managed to convince like Web2 Foundation to support us to build DDoT. Uh,
Got it.
so that is
Got it.
like two painful reason. So that's why we build. There are also other limitation of Polkadot.js. So we can discuss it later, but like that is the two like initial reason why it motivates me to build an alternative solution for it and to bring a better developer experience to Polkadot
Hmm.
ecosystem.
Right. So, okay, we'll dive into that. But I wanted to talk to you about your sort of. Can you like this change from uh, to a native TypeScript native type system, right? I think that's a huge sort of change, and that must have taken a long time, right? So why not go with the previous version of how it was getting typed and the way TypeScript, and choose a completely different codec to work on this? Like, what was your reasoning to, because writing a type system is sort of a very major migration that you're trying to do in that sense. So uh, why do you think we needed that to change? Or I mean,
Good.
obviously, auto suggestions are one thing, but for someone who's just looking to utilize this, how do you how do you expect them to feel now once they switch to the new type system? Is what I want to understand.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
the previous type system that Polkadot.js is using is like it's like it's a wrap correct.
Mm,
So for
mm,
example, if you are using a U8 or U16 uh,
mm.
codec, it's going to be a class and wrap. The data will be inside that codec, and you
Yeah.
have to like unwrap that codec in order to access the data inside. So that is really
Yeah.
painful because you don't like when you get the data, you don't know what type it is. You have to
Mm,
like to get or to like run some console log in order to figure out what type it is. So it's really painful. So instead of that, why don't we just like give it like a raw TypeScript type? So for example, if a U8 or U16, just give it a number types, or like it's like U64, it's just like big int type. It's really easy for new developers to see. Yeah, yes, it is a number or it is a string or it is a big int. It just put it in the type, the compatible type is, and Dedot will convert it into like equivalent type in scale codec. And that is
got it.
the the the, the heavy things that we have, like converting the types into the correct side, and then make it easier for a new developer to like interact with it with the chain. And yeah, that's essentially the reason, because like we need so if you are a developer, you want to know like what kind of type that I expected to put into the function or to an API. So it will be easier if we know exactly, for example, it a number or it is a string. So
Definitely.
it will like help a lot, right? So that's
Got
why
it.
we decided to use completely different type system, so that it would easier for developer and especially new developer to getting
Got
started
it.
with Polkadot. Yeah.
I Okay. So let's try to sort of look at it from this angle. For example, currently the extrinsics tab on the Polkadot.js website
Hmm.
utilizes a lot of these types for
Hmm.
essentially inputs to the extrinsics, different kinds of extrinsics, right? And to build anything on top of it, it's a difficult job, because obviously the type systems are very difficult to get right, and the conversion to make sure that you're getting the correct data. How would something like a DDOT help someone build better extrinsic tools? Because as far as I see, extrinsics is something like is a supercomputer sort of thing where you can do anything with it, right? But what you need is some controlled way of doing something, right? So if somebody wants to, sign up, sort of verify and sign a particular text and send it on the ecosystem, they have to look at a lot of these type systems to make sure that the string is going in correctly. Images is another thing that's very difficult to handle. So I feel, do you think Dedot can help someone build better extrinsic apps, like something like that?
Definitely, because like the extrinsic types is exposed in the metadata. As long as you have the metadata, so the runtime call and the extrinsic call is exposed in the metadata. So we expose every type in the metadata. So you can see if you go to the
JSON
packages,
data. Yeah. I saw
yeah,
the
that we
metadata.
have in the yeah. So if you go we convert them from the metadata to the raw TypeScript type. So it has
Okay.
the something called like runtime call, which is like expose every call you have in the runtime. For example, transfer balances or like sign a extrinsic or send an XCM. Every
Yeah.
possible like transaction or extrinsic that is exposed by the runtime is already available. So you could actually see what is like available for me to call and to make an interaction with the runtime or the node. So it's
Got
actually easier for you to expect. So, oh yeah, I could call this and I could call that. So it's actually easier for developer to use. So
Definitely. Yeah. I understand where. So, but you just mentioned that this metadata is essentially the export of the runtime calls, essentially, right? I mean, whatever runtime calls are happening on the substrate chain, like the node itself, the number of pallets and the exported runtime calls is converted. So, how do you keep the metadata in sync with the with the palette itself? Because there are upgrades that are happening.
yeah,
So I wanted to
that,
dive a
that
bit into that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a really interesting point because like so currently we are going to like for the packages. We have a centralized packages that has like expose the type for every known
Yeah.
blockchain. So you could like install the packages and then like plug in the type, and then you can have suggestion for every interaction that you want to interact with the nodes. But if you want to have like if you expecting a runtime upgrade for your the app, so the network going to have like an upgrade, and it would might potentially break your the app if you use some kind of breaking changes interaction. You could definitely like generate the type for that like soon to upgrade
Okay.
metadata, and then you could like check if yeah if it's going to like if the current runtime version is like the new one, you could actually suggest and interact with the new types and metadata on the suggestion and
Okay.
interact with that new API. And if it is a current like an old or previous runtime version, you could actually use the previous suggestions. So it's like we need to like so the app developer have to like check whether or not this change is available or this change is compatible. So it's
Okay.
like actually we're gonna have like some instruction for developer to deal with the type of change, and you actually developer actually have the ability to like uh, generate types for soon to upgrade method, and then they could like work on that and then adapt accordingly to a different kind of upgrades.
Hmm. So what I can understand is that it essentially is that you're versioning the metadata too, and based on that versioning, you can define some statement that checks for it and makes sure that you can
Yes,
if this runtime call is available, only then in this particular version, only then you sort of run through this block of code. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
For example, if you run up, you have an upgrade on the
Hmm.
meta or on the metadata. It's essentially the runtime is upgrade, and then we have a runtime version, like a spec version of the runtime. You could easily check if it is a new one. If it is a new,
Okay.
you could interact with that new one like style or
Okay.
API, and
Okay.
then if it is a current or previous one, you could interact with the previous one, and we
Got
could adapt accordingly. And so you could like generate the types and for example if there are like for example you transfer the transfer function is changing, and it
it.
is like take a different argument or different type of argument so that you could like
Yeah.
work it is it you need to change the parameter you put into the function in order for it to work properly. And you have to check. You need to check oh yeah, if it's this runtime version is a new one, I'm going to call through the new syntax, and it has suggestion for that new syntax because we can generate type an API for that new metadata, a new runtime upgrade, and you could suggest that API through the new syntax or the new API. And then if it is the current the previous version, you could like still interact with the current the previous API, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Okay, so a quick question on that. When you would the user have to upgrade or do npm upgrade of the updated version of the metadata, or would this metadata be generated at the time you install the or sort of install the library itself? Like, how is that upgrade happening? Would I have to manually do it, or would the library handle it for me? Like, if any runtime.
So in terms of the metadata, currently, so the developer have to deal with it like manually, because like the metadata is like downloading from the node side. Okay. So every time you need to like interact with a like substrate-based blockchain, you need to download the metadata first, so that you know and understand what kind of interaction and what kind of API that I can interact with that runtime. And every time there is a runtime upgrade, the metadata is changing, and you need to download again. So the library is going to download that for you. Okay. But you need to like check whether or not the runtime version is like this one, or the runtime version is this one, and we're going to interact with that in a different way so that it's compatible with the new runtime upgrade.
Got it. Okay. So interesting. So okay. So let's dive into a little bit around tree shaking, right? So that's another very important sort of part of the library that you've tried to sort of solve, and I wanted to dive a bit into how you've done this, and how has it improved Dedot as compared to the Polkadot-based API library that we had, right? So yeah, why don't we start?
That was like a really huge improvement that we have done for Dedot to improve the bundling size, because like that is also another limitation of Polkadot.js, because it has dependency on, like, for example, it depends on some WASM blob for like crypto utilities, and it's also using like BNJS to handle big N number, and also it has a big type definition, and it's like useless for if in most case. So if you want to interact with like one or two function and a lot of other like will be useless. So those are like really tight couple into the source code, and you can't change it because like it's tight couple. So and whenever you build the app, it's going to be inside the source code. So we build it modular, and it's like loose coupling. So it's not whenever you need it, you whenever you need something, you need to like define it explicitly and put it into your function. So that is like how it works. So basically, in Polkadot.js, everything is work magically under the hood. Everything you need, it's automatically bundle everything, because like that's the easiness of Polkadot.js. It's like when you interact with like something, it's like automatically there for you to interact. But for Dedot, if you want to interact with, like, for example, if we want to interact with the network via WebSocket, you have to import the WebSocket provider. If you want to interact with Small.dot or Light Client, you have to import the Small.dot provider. And if you using the Small.dot provider, we don't bundle the WebSocket provider, and you have to explicitly import that. And we build it modular, and it's not like tight couple like the Polkadot.js. So we see a lot of improvement and huge improvement in side bundling of the DApp. It's like for example, a simple DApp that we're building for like benchmarking. For example, if we just like connect to the network and then fetch the balance. So with Polkadot.js, the bundle size is like nearly a megabyte, and then when like compression, after compression to gzip, it's like 300 kilobyte. So it's really huge for really that simple DApp, for just like two simple steps connecting the network and then fetch the balance. It's like nearly a megabyte of size. But after we build it with Dedot, it's like really small. It's like over like hundreds of kilobyte. And after compression, it's like just like 30, 37 kilobyte. It's like 7 or 8 times smaller compared to the app built on PGS.
Nice. Okay, that's a huge improvement overall. So I think this at least sort of gives you the confidence that you can deploy without, because JavaScript in itself is such huge bundle of mess to handle, right? So
Yeah.
and making sure everything sort of and you can build a performant platform requires you to sort of like these are essentially sacrifices or compromises that you make to make sure that the system, and I feel loose coupling essentially enables you to pick and choose,
Yes.
and will give you a much better control over what you have and whatever you want to use. So that's like a very good improvement. I love everyone to try this out at least once to see what it looks like, right? So okay, awesome. So I wanted to actually dive into this. So this becomes the base layer, right? So, what I wanted to talk about implementation, right? And with implementation, I mean the most popular libraries would be React, React Native, and I saw that you have plans to dive into that at some point as well, right? So, what is the process there, thought process, and how do you picture that happening? Uh, or is there something left here to finish before you can dive into building sort of SDKs that people can properly use it, or maybe something like a UI library that people can utilize? Or if you look at other chains, you have something on the uh, on the Ethereum side where you have Wallet Connect and things like that that make it quite easy for people to just include a React component inside the library and make it ready to use for someone like that, right? And there are, because this I feel lowers the barrier to entry for and provides a much better developer experience, right? So what are your thoughts around that? And then we'll probably dive into post this and dive into how we can look at other parachains coming into it and utilizing Dedot as sort of the base layer for anything that you want on any parachain. So maybe an NFT or something like that, right? So this will be essentially how I wanted to sort of go into the future of Dedot and how do you see things going forward?
Yeah, exactly. But DDoS, like the JS client implementation, it's just like a building block of the thing that we're going to plan
Yeah,
for the future. Because like mostly the complex application we are building now using React or Vue or
yeah,
Angular, and we need to have like a library that is
mm,
like built on using on those like libraries so that people could easily you building the app using those library that is like make it easier for people to interact.
mm,
So rather than to have to access the low level DDoT API, we do have like plan to to to
mm,
have tooling on top of DDoT so that people could easily access the low
yeah,
level building block of DDoT. But currently, DDoT is like currently is still in its early phase of the development. We still have a lot of things to do. Like we need to like have a better improvement for the new JSON API spec integration, and we're also working on the ink the type uh, the the type contracts API for ink smart contract, if you know.
mm,
So it's also another like a limitation of Postgres. When you work with an India app,
mm,
so when you don't really know how to interact with like
correct.
a particular function on an Ink smart contract, and the dot we're going to change this forever. So it's going to essentially look into the metadata and generate the type in TypeScript
Mm,
for those like interaction to the Ink smart contract, and then it's going to suggest for you. So what are you going to what can you do with those Ink smart contracts? So it's going to suggest. So yeah, I'm going to have like the functions like transfer or like flip a boolean or something. It's going to suggest everything for you when you work
yeah,
with Ink smart contract. And we also working on some other improvement like the smart dot and the chain
mm,
type API that we're working on. So essentially, we plan to have like DDoT stabilized first before going further into other like top level library. Yeah.
mm. Okay, okay. So let's talk about other parachains and how you plan to sort of interact Because other parachains also have some JS layer on top of. For example, Subsocial is another chain that has its own set of libraries, and then Unique Network has its own for the NFT generation. So there are things that are happening. So how do you see Dedot playing a role there for people to sort of use one single library to connect to different parachains to get their job done, right? And that's the vision of what Polkadot wanted to do essentially. So how do you see that happening? Or do you see that happening? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like currently I mean all of the parachains are using, like, I think most of parachains are using Polkadot in their like library, low level library,
Yeah.
for the interact with the network.
Mm.
And over the years, I think like lots of teams are using Polkadot, and what we want and our goal is to help the migration to like the new library, make it easier for people to migrate. So for example, that's why we make some intentional decision about like the API styling. For example, if you want to like, if you look at the documentation of Dedot,
Yeah.
you could see some familiarity between like Polkadot and Dedot, because like it's like the API really similar. For example, you want to like fetch some balance where you're going to go API dot like query dot like system dot account, and then you get the 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 balance, and that the API is completely similar. But like, so there's some difference in the data that you get back. That's the difference,
Mm.
because we use a completely type system, completely different type system. So that is the thing that the low level the parent chain team and the app that need to handle the return level. Well, actually easier for them to handle, because they need to delete the code, because
Mm.
because they don't have to like have extra handling to unwrap
Yeah.
the data. They just need to delete the code. So
Mm.
the step that they have to unwrap the data and unwrap the code to get the data. So with Dedot, they don't have to do that step. The data is just available there for them to use, and it has suggestions for them to use. So so so
Okay.
our intentional decision is to make it easier for people to migrate. So it's not a drop in deployment, but you could like replace it,
Mm.
and then try working on some different like place that you interact with the client and the interact with the API, and then it's working from there, and then delete the code and migrate over. We're going to have like migrations instructions from Polkadot.js to Dedot
Okay.
for the app team to like to see and then follow the step, and then in order to migrate. And then I actually attempt to like migrate um of the sublet app, the sublet
Okay.
wallets
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Node.js to Dedot, and I saw a really like improvement in memory consumption, and it was
Yeah.
done in just a day. It's just a few hours. It was done in just a few hours,
Nice. Okay.
and that was like really and I was
Mm.
like if we are doing it the API styling in different way, it would really hard for people
Yeah.
to change and adapt. Yeah, especially for like a really for teams that have a really large code base that depends on Polkadot.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, yeah, I think getting like removing code is always a better thing than sort of adding more code in. And I
Yeah,
feel this would help a lot of people and essentially developers a lot of headache of making their types getting to work with multiple union and statements,
yeah,
which was a real pain, to be honest. It's especially in the Polkadot ecosystem. Right. So with this, I actually wanted to see where you are going with support and documentation for this, right? So some people have asked for some developer group or a Discord channel, and people would want to sort of understand this better and easier. So how do you think about documenting this and making sure it's easier for people to get started? What are your plans there?
yeah. Regarding this, we are having like a really big plan for this. We're going to have like a we plan to set up a Discord server so that people could join in, and
Hmm.
then like asking question, engage with each other, and then like getting support when using the dots. That's one part. Another part is we're going to have a document site so that you could like have like a sense of what is DDoT and how you're going to use DDoT. And then we're going to have like a, a lot of example how to do this and how to do that, how to pass the metadata, how to like interact with the network, and how to like interact with a custom, like completely custom substrate-based network that you just built using Substrate. How do you do that? We're going to have some instruction. We're going to have example for that, and we're going to have some codebooks, and then example and D apps as well. So example D apps. So for example, we currently have some a D app on like try.ddot.dev, so that you could go there and try interact with the network, and everything is built using like ddot, and then other like like things that are built on to make the UI things. And uh, so we do have like plans to make the documentation and the instructions for user, especially the new developer, to feel the easiness
Mm.
to getting on board to Polkadot. That is the big plan. That's the tool is just the first step, and the next step is to build a great entry point, the great documentations for that. It's so that new developer
Mm.
will feel at ease when working with Polkadot.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I saw you just recently posted a proposal for this as well. So I feel a lot of that would essentially drive this momentum forward for you to sort of keep building on this. And I would also like to understand how can people contribute to this, right? What are the challenges that you currently have, and how do you envision somebody in the ecosystem who is trying to sort of get their hand dirty and start contributing? What are the steps that they have to follow, and where do you need help?
Yeah, I actually like definitely we can't build this alone, right? Because like because ecosystem is so big, and we need to adapt with like so much use cases for from each team and because in the ecosystem. So we definitely need some help and a lot of helps from the ecosystem. For example, some feedback if you want to if you try DDoT and you find some issues and run into issue, and you need you have some suggestion or idea to improve DDoT. Definitely we 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 need to hear that, uh and they could actually post an issues or discussion on DDoT repository to like contribute the ideas and share your thoughts on DDoT, or like reach out direct to me and to share your thoughts or ideas. And uh, in the longer term, we do expect and plan to like to share the process and the issues that we expect to see people coming in and contribute. Because right now, most of the thing is internally like worked out and in our team.
Mm.
So people might not understand. So how is it going, and what is this like thing works, and how is it going on this side and other side. So it's going to need some communications in order to for people to get involved. So I think after like DDoT gets some stabilization, we're going to publish some kind of process and have better documentation in some of the issues, that people could just look at the issues and understand and get some instruction and involve into the issue and getting contribute to DDoT open uh, DDoT source code.
I feel people just writing some tutorial, or you guys at least starting to write some tutorials on how to get started, and how to do basic tasks on the dot itself. So an example section in the documentation, people contributing to it would be a very good way to
Yeah, exactly.
get this started in that sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If
exactly.
talking about this, talking about help. How big is the current DDoT team, like, and how where do you see yourself as a team going forward? Like, do you need help in any of like the any of the company level requirements overall? Yeah.
Yeah, so currently our team is just like me and another person, another team member, like two-person, and working like uh like like not like full time, not like full time, because like it's we haven't like get any funding for DDoT yet, so we currently self-funding DDoT, and we need to have like we haven't like been able to focus like fully on the DDoT development, and that's why we propose a treasury proposal in order to get community support to for that allow us to like fully focus on DDoT development. So uh,
Hmm.
that
Okay.
said, we do plan to like expand the team so that if we need get support, we do plan to have like expand the team so that it's going to get the speed up the development of Dedot so that we deliver feature much faster and then fix bugs much faster. So that is like the expectation. So yeah. So in terms of help, we definitely lead a lot of platform teams that are like utilize Dedot and things of so if the team are like trying out Dedot and they see some issues and they see something that like not like fit their needs and things, and they could definitely open an issues and suggestions. So this could go in this way and this could go in this way, and we need this feature, we need that feature. They could definitely help, and we got actually working with each other in order to making that happen in Dedot. Yeah, that definitely.
Interesting, nice. So yeah, that is uh, definitely. I hope this proposal sort of comes through because we definitely need something on these lines, and I would hate to see this not getting built because at least it helps people like us who are just trying out different solutions. And it makes it easier for us to not worry about 10 different things in the ecosystem. But I think that's a wrap essentially. I feel this has been a very, very interesting conversation, and I loved sort of getting a lay of the land of what DDOT is and just trying to understand your motivations and see where this is going. And yeah, I would urge everyone to please take a look. I will mention the website as well as the demo DApp that you've built with DDOT as well in the description. So people, I would urge everyone to try it out. Go look at the library, look at the documentation, look at the proposal as well, and yeah, please see if you can help in any way bringing this to life. And yeah, thank you so much, Thang, for your time, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, man. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank
All
you.
right, that's a wrap to episode 5. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. All right, see ya.
See you, man.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of AwesomeDOT. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode in the comments section or at website. The content presented on AwesomeDOT is not financial or investment advice and should not be viewed as a recommendation to support any specific project. The views expressed are the personal opinions of the podcast guest and moderator and may not necessarily be shared by AwesomeDOT. We do not endorse or guarantee the accuracy of the information provided. Want to join us as a speaker? Visit our website at awesome-dot.com to learn more. Remember to star the GitHub repo, awesome-dot. Also, you can always find us on Spotify for more great content. Have a great day. See you in the next one. Thank you.